Hello, it's James Scaresbrook, otherwise known as the Intrepid Wino here. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about decanting wine. Now, for those who don't know what decanting is, essentially it's sort of pouring a bottle of wine into another vessel. But the actual act of decanting is literally that. So it kind of, I wouldn't be surprised if people were a bit confused when they refer to the actual vessel you're pouring into as a decanter, because that's not what decanting is. Decanting is the actual act of pouring it out. So there's sort of two reasons why you might decant a wine. And it really comes down to whether it is a young wine or an old wine. So the first reason that you would decant a wine is basically if the wine is old. As a wine ages, a red wine, to a certain extent a white wine, but not really in this case, ages, the sediment builds up. Now the sediment is essentially like dead kind of tannin cells. So the older the wine is, the more the tannin sort of breaks down and becomes a sort of a solid tannin, solid sediment in the bottle. And that kind of, that makes the wine a bit lighter, but it also, you don't want to be having the sediment in the wine. So that is why you would actually decant a bottle of older wine. So what I'm going to do is actually show you how to decant an old wine. So firstly, one of the most important things is that you need to, if you have the bottle on its side, in your cellar, for example, you need to put it upright for ideally like at least sort of 6 hours. Probably even better would be to do it overnight. So if you intend to have a bottle of wine from your cellar, put it in the cupboard the night before. Obviously you want it into a place free from any light and not reasonably cool. And that way the sediment will actually drop to the bottom of the bottle. And that makes it much easier to actually decant the wine because you're separating the sediment further down. So what I've got here is a Plum decanter. Thank you very much, Plum, for providing me with this decanter. And I've got a bottle that I opened up earlier. It is an older wine, a 1998. Mount Languran Langy Cabernet Sauvignon, and I've already opened it. And if you want to know how to open an older bottle of wine under cork, definitely go and watch the video how to open a bottle of wine. Now, one of the important things about this particular bottle shape, this is what's commonly referred to as the Bordeaux shape, is that it has this shoulder, and the shoulder is very good for catching the sediment. So when you are pouring it, it's important to not pour it too quickly, pour it quite slowly, so that you are catching the sediment on the shoulder of the bottle. So when you're pouring, you can hold the decanter on its side. That's not a bad idea. With this, possibly not, although you probably want to be a bit gentle with an older wine, because older wines are a lot more fragile. They don't have the tannin to actually kind of protect them. And so you probably want to pour it on its side. But the actual act of decanting, putting it into that vessel, is also giving it contact with air. So one of the important things about when you're decanting with an old wine is that you don't want to do it for very long. So ideally, you want to decant, rinse out the bottle, get all the sediment out, and then pour the wine back into the bottle, put the cork back in, because that's it. That's sometimes referred to as double decanting. You don't want it to leave it to breathe. Very, very important. The other kind of reason that you would actually decant a bottle is if you have a younger wine that is very intense, like a high level of tannin, possibly a high level of alcohol, high level of oak, that kind of thing. because you want the wine to breathe. Now, in this case, there isn't really a lot of sediment because the wine is young. The tannins are still very present in the wine. But you want to introduce oxygen because you want to open it up a little bit. It can be a little bit too tight, a little bit too intense. And so by pouring it into a decanter, a vessel like this, and giving it plenty of oxygen, both by pouring and also by leaving it to breathe, that has the potential to unlock a lot of those really tight and intense kind of characters. So I'm going to pour one of these wines. I'll pour the Melton, Charles Melton 9 Popes 2005, which is a Shiraz Grenache blend, and it's still pretty young. So I'm going to show you how to decant this wine. So you'll note that this decanter has a punt underneath it, and that's actually quite good for, you want the wine to hit that punt because that's actually going to allow it to breathe. So here we go. Now with this younger wine, it's actually not a bad idea to pour it, in a sort of a fairly rough way, and you can even give it a swirl around. So, what I want you to do, pause this video, go back, watch the Let's Taste for the 9 Popes 2005 that I just posted, and then I want you to compare my notes from that and my notes from this. Because it's really unlocked some of the wine. It's actually now showing sort of slightly more earthy notes, meatier characters. Still pretty intense on the palate, but give that a few hours, and that's going to unlock. That's going to open up quite generously. Now, you can decant white wines. It's pretty rare. You might do it with a white wine that's had some skin contact, and that's essentially when the wine is made from white grapes but made like a red wine. So the skins are kept in contact with the wine during the fermentation and possibly even after the fermentation. And so when the wine is young, again, you might decant it to just open up, to provide a little bit of oxygen to open the wine up. Some people talk about decanting champagnes, very high quality champagnes, and that's sort of, they might argue that the bubbles are kind of interfering in seeing the true character of the wine, so they might decant a bottle of champagne to actually allow the bead, the bubbles in the wine to dissipate so that they can actually taste the wine and smell the wine a lot easier, more like a white wine, a still white wine. But look, again, the important thing is to be very gentle with old wines. The reason for doing it is to actually separate the wine and the sediment. And the reason for doing it with young wines is to introduce more oxygen to open up the wine. But look, if you have any questions about decanting, please let me know. Ask me questions in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them as best as I can. I hope you've enjoyed this little video. I hope that it has provided you with some help as far as when and how you should decant. But yeah, I hope Thanks guys for watching. Please leave me a like and a comment. Subscribe to the Intrepid Wino channel and check out some of my other how-to videos. See you soon.